welcome.
Hello, everybody that is tuned in. Welcome to the first match-up hosted by XpokenTv, and that is spoken with an X. Philip. Spoken.
Spoken.
We were trying for that, yes.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. That does not work at all. No.
So the idea behind Spoken is XpokenTv is a platform newly founded by two poets based in Berlin. It is based on highlighting, promoting and marketing literary events, spoken word artists and mostly performance artists. Yeah. So there will be a lot of events from us coming forward or going forward. There will be match up going on, and so the idea behind match up is we're bringing our favorite poets to our screens at home, because in the last months everything has gone online, and as much as I love going to cafes and just watching poetry. Since I can't do that, figured why not bring that back and online so that it's accessible to everybody in the comfort of your bed, home, toilet. You know, that's what we're going for. Thank you so much, Philipp, for being the first matchup or doing the first matchup with me. And
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. I like it. I like the idea. But the concept itself is that we have a selection of poems.
Yes.
For this particular event, we both chose 10 poems.
Yes.
I think. I don't know if I chose
10. I chose 10.
All right, great. But we will try to go for 5 each.
Yes.
Anyway, I think we'll just fill an hour with it, and we're going back and forth. And we'll try to see if we have corresponding poems.
Yes.
Or if not, we just perform what we have.
And also the other thing is, I brought my favorite poem. Now this
Your
was
favorite poem.
Yes.
The Amora's favorite poem.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
That's cute. Yeah.
It was performed in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. And yes, so did you by any chance bring your favorite poem? Because the
3 favorite poems.
Oh!
They're not even my favorite, they're just good poems.
Good poems.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the idea behind Spoken is also to not only perform your work, but also highlight your favorite works and give a background on why that is your favorite poem, where you first heard it, why it spoke to you. So Spoken. Yes.
Great. Okay, I like that.
So do you want to start?
Yes, I would like to start.
Cool.
Let me ask you. I see about 3 cameras. Which is the one that we look into?
That's a good question.
Is that you or you?
You or you.
There. Awesome. Wait,
We look at this
one?
camera.
That one,
That
the big
one.
one.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
All
Kind
right, I
of
like
looking
that.
this way though. Feels more comfortable.
Yeah, sure.
Because looking at the camera kind of makes jittery and butterflies come out.
But are you not performing for an audience?
Are you not though?
Yeah, we are.
Uh-huh.
For the whole wide world.
Oh.
No pressure.
No pressure. Okay. So,
Paraguay,
hello.
how are you doing?
Okay. So what do you have?
All right. So during these Corona months, I sat down and I wanted to be creative again, and I wrote a couple of poems, which I then recorded and published them. Each poem took pretty much one night.
Okay.
Which included writing it. So the first idea that came, just wrote it down, recording it on my little handheld device, and then mixing some music underneath.
Okay.
And that took about a night, and it was the fastest that I ever recorded poetry.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Cool.
So the first one is from that Corona series. It's called The Poem in Question.
Okay.
Judging from your current behavior, Would you say this is the beginning, the middle, or the end of your time on this planet? Do you think you dress your age? Dress the age you want people to believe you are? Or are you utterly appalled by either concept? Have you ever found yourself uttering the sentence, "I am decolonizing this"? If so, was it in the midst of a gun battle with colonial forces? Or in a creative writing workshop meant to discover your true profession? Have you ever lost a friend due to drugs or mental illness? What is the first memory the both of you share? Next question. Is it okay to pee in the shower? Really? Let's talk about this. So, if you could choose, would you rather get hit by a bus or get struck by lightning? How many times a year do you see your parents? And calculating the years between their current age and the statistical average when people in your respective country die of old age, how many more times will you get to see your parents before they die? Does that question make you uncomfortable? Do you consider yourself a good lover? Do you think it requires special skills, or is it more of like a general mindset? Have you ever killed a person in a fight? If not so, do you know someone that has? Have you ever dated a person have you ever not dated a person because you were waiting for someone better? Or is that what people usually do when they decline dates? Have you ever confused Che Guevara with Bob Marley? Do you consider either one of them musically overrated? Have you ever thought of yourself as belonging to a special racial group? And if not, do you happen to be white? But are you really though? Do you write poetry? Have you ever met someone that buys and reads poetry that is not a poet themselves? Isn't that like a plumber fixing other plumbers' pipes? Does that render poetry irrelevant? Say, hey, would you fuck your own clone? Or would you rather prefer the term making sweet love to yourself? Judging from your current behavior, would you say this is the beginning, the middle, or the end of your time on this planet? So would you, if you could, be yourself for a second? Would you mind? The poem in question.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And you wrote this in one night?
I wrote this in one night, yeah.
Nice. And what was going through your head?
Jesus, I don't know. It was a quick decision. There's this great novel, which is called A Novel in Question, and I completely forgot who wrote it, but it's a great one. But it's just a fun thing because the entire thing is in questions, in various questions.
Okay.
And I figured it would be a nice idea to just sit down and write just a poem with the questions that just come up to my mind, which are sort of like either nagging or completely irrelevant, really, or just so standard, or some things that you never think about. Like, for instance, like how many more times will you see your parents before they?
Yeah, that's morbid.
Before they leave this place, you know?
Yeah.
You can calculate that. It's
I don't want
scary
to.
as fuck.
Okay, so let's see. Don't remember when I wrote this, unfortunately, or fortunately. It's the background of this poem is my relation to the societies I grew up in, and it's called Gun Sounds. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to chaotic sounds of knives on necks coercing progress. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to cries of those in dark alleys molested. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I don't know what they sound like. I know the sound of talented yet tormented souls lost in mighty slums. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to sounds of youths being put down, fully unrooted, cast away from their futures. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to screams of mothers whose sons were too musical. I grew up to the screams of hip-hop doesn't uncash, and poetry is for scholars with blue collars. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to the sounds of diminishing slogans. You can stand, but you'll never be as tall as. You can stand, but you will never be as tall as. And that's what my parents' generation was schooled at. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. Hip-hop culture made me a rebel. See, my mother feared for my life, for poetry would never put food on my table. She said, baby, you need to be stable. For she was the only one putting the food on the table. Baby, you need to be stable. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to different tribal sounds. Mama insisted that even though the sounds were different, well, they might have been different. They're all the same. We carry the same flag for the same land. Amidst traditions found, we were all one. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to different tribal sounds. I grew up to traditional vibes. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to different African beats, echoed vibes, celebrations of lost lives. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to was. I grew up to sounds of foreign cultures and writing my history. See, there are bits and pieces of my history stretched out on my skin, invisible tattoos from scars that sparkle and light my path. I call them little stars. I grew up to gun sounds, invisible ones. Some grow thicker with every heartbeat, heartbreak, grief. Hills where I was born, sun never rose. Nothing ever looked golden. Everyone walked with their hands locked and loaded. Experience is the best teacher. Learn by following example, they said. How was I to when broken hearts sting more than broken bones, and mommy played a rogue angel and daddy was never there. See, daddy was never there. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to what sounds. The air was dry, young's ever high, love lost in lies, sexism always implied. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to was. Time stopped and birds no longer fly. Mommy chose him over me and her. She chose loose rock and roll to old humbled nurturing. I didn't grow up to gun sound. I grew up to starvation and survival. I am the lone wolf. I didn't grow up to gun sounds. I grew up to us. I grew up to foreigners, erasing my history.
Wow. That is nice. I did not know that one.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember when I wrote it either.
Really?
No, it's a bit older.
But do you remember why you wrote it?
Yes, I remember why I wrote it. I was having a conversation with somebody who grew up in the US with gun violence, and I couldn't relate to that because yes, there are gangs where I grew up, but I've never seen a gun myself. I've never touched one because I didn't grow up in a society where guns are mostly available. However, it doesn't stop the level of crime or crimes.
Sure.
You know, you can they steal your hair and all that, but yeah, so that's why I wrote it, yes.
They do that too in Kenya, really?
Yes.
Oh, all right. I thought it was a South African.
No, the dreadlocks are commodity.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I still have my old locks. I'm going to sell them at some point.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh, that's nasty, isn't it?
I don't
I would
think so.
I would like to reattach them, but like I don't know where, to be honest.
Okay, no comments to that. However, I must say, actually, I have a very intimate relationship with my dreadlocks because at some point in 2016, 17, I attached some of my brother's dreadlocks to my own.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
and that's, again, coming back to the stealing locks thing, they're also very expensive to sell and buy. And it was really nice that when he cut off his dreadlocks, he gave me some, and that was just nice.
You have family locks.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yes.
That's nice.
heritage in it. Yeah.
All right, okay.
I'm gonna ask our timekeeper how much time we have so that we can see where to go next.
See about 35 minutes.
All right, okay.
Cool.
I want to try to follow up on that, and I don't quite know with what.
You don't necessarily have to follow up. It would be nice if you could.
But I'll try. This one is not mine. This one is from my current favorite poet. It's Harmony Holiday. That's her name. That's her book, one of her books.
Yeah.
A Jazz Funeral for Uncle Tom. She's brilliant. Like, she's a brilliant writer. Like, some people say, like, carnivalesque, whatever that means. It just, it's very vivid in the description.
Okay.
But she works a lot with descriptions of, like, it is sort of like the metaphorical landscape of jazz and blues and like 60s and 70s US American, Black American tradition.
Yeah.
But this one here I liked a lot, and I think it's also about, well, we'll get it, we'll see. It's called Kipling-esque. You can't do anything right. Your curiosity is violent. Your empathy is false. Your sympathy is offensive. Your apology is primitive. Your music is sick with envy. Your muses are sick with lust. Your limp doesn't lean. Your straight line is a wink. Your whimper catches December ditching homeroom, and only then realizes you stole somebody's name. Your sister brags about anal on the first date. Your reprimand is an emp pumping meth into the trunk. Your clamor is at Walmart. Your brothers hustle codeine. Your table is covered in mugshots and cocaine. You love the way we taste. You ate my daddy. Grind his bones into free rides daily. And then he was on your sweatshirt on the first day of school. You are a pig. You are a slave. You are why I'm yellow. You ate at Waffle House on purpose. Your arrogance is how I'm turning gold. Maybe I can rescue you from your myths about yourself. Maybe I can hide your cadence and break your name into mine. Maybe I can convince you to hand over your children on Sundays, and I'll teach them to worship Orishas, who each one looks like me. Maybe I can teach you to fear your dreams, unless they're about everything coming true after death. If you are decent, if you obey me, if you say sorry and please every time I see you smiling, if you let me show you what civilized people do when they're being conquered, raped, ruined, if you let me borrow your heart, if you rip out your own heart and plant it inside of me, and then eat your bloody hand, if you let me beat you from that central territory and walk through the actual broken glass of my area code to watch me take my father to the grave, the one you ate, the one whose blood you tasted, the one who holds your hand, the one who made you into your brutal, savage self again. I really like that.
Yeah.
Like, it touches on so many things about
Yeah.
systemic racism and
Yeah.
Please, can you just tell people that are out there to share this?
Oh,
invite
yes.
their friends
Oh,
to
yes.
be a part of this, and if you're a poet there,
Yes, so if you're a poet and you would like to be featured on Spoken TV, please shoot us an email, write us a message on social media channels. Our email is spokentv@gmail.com. At this moment, our Facebook channel is Spoken TV, and Instagram where you're watching this, so Facebook where you're watching this. Please share this live amazing event. I think for those who live in Berlin, it's not always so often that you get to see Philipp and Amora perform, and this is unique opportunity, so please share it out and wide. And yeah,
please do.
I have a follow-up poem for that. And this way I did a project sometime back on fate of African soldiers that fought in the First World War, and I feel like it covers some of what the poem you just read covers. And I'm just going to jump into this because it's a bit of a long piece, and we can talk about it a bit after I read it. The most important thing about this poem is that the contents of this poem come from a diary that was written by a soldier who survived the First World War. He was South African, and we used his diary. He wrote a very detailed diary and got other soldiers to write messages to their families in that diary, and we used that diary to write pieces. We did trilogy pieces, but I'm just going to read one of them. It is called Fates Made Out of War. Askari, Askari, they named you Askari, war Askari, and it's Askari's blood that is in my nature, Askari. I peek into that nature. I see my past, I see my past, I peek deeper into my nature. I see my ancestors, I see their trust, I see you, their curse, and try to hate you. Impassioned, I peek deeper into my nature. The torment still lingers in my soul from those years when you took our forefathers to fight in your wars with the promise of gold tins in the 10 folds. I see you. The naked you as your mask slowly dissolves as you pretend to mourn with me. I see you. I see your crocodile tears covering scornful smiles. I see you trying to ignore all the buried bones on your backyards from the heaps of black bodies in the front line of your battalions. I see you. Then I see you with your peace speeches, the forced apologies painted on freedom slogans are irrelevant if saying their names is a burden. If saying their names is a burden. If the memory is a burden. I see you. All I see are futile attempts to raise to fame shamelessly. All you did was change chains and whips for miseducation, African humbled names for Negro titles. Askari, you called me. Askari. They that stood in the front lines and bled for your lands are now sons of war dressed in heritage of cotton farm workers playing chess systematically to reclaim kingdoms in foreign territories. Askaris. Askari. Askari now means prisoner. And it is in my nature that I peer. As I peer into my nature, I get lost in translation, lost like my sense of self faded. I get lost like the blood of my persecutors mapping historical borders. I look deeper and deeper. His scars are now bleeding laceration. Somewhere between my plea for life grows the desire for death. Somewhere between the confusion of unwarranted hate and the yearn for redemption, my feral instinct kick in and plunge me into his nature. His nature. James Magato boots deep in bloody mud, scribbling in the dark with his torn skin, sad tears dripping. His comrades are tied to tree barks with honey-laced ropes around their bodies. Their arms and legs are polished with sweet jams. More honey whipped across their shoulders, running down their buttocks. Drips of sticky goo running down their back. Ants called upon to slowly but painfully make out of them mummies. Their cries fade out as the clump of ants bites their way inside these African farmers turned soldiers and then condemned to unthinkable fates made out of wars not their own. Askari, Askari, my strength escapes me. I struggle to peek into their nature, but you keep pissing on me with every word and fake remorse. His story, now your whitewashed history. How subtle you cross over truth to make us believe that your existence only began when you came off your mother's lap. Oh, I see you. Hero to the Homo sapiens, suppressing the fates of Askaris gone to the winds. How you know no bounds. too consumed to realize all will end as it began. See, let me educate you. Life was black before it was hacked. I say life was black before it was hacked. And if I had magic, I'd rewrite time. Or life was black before it was hacked. And if I had magic, I'd rewrite time and recreate the maps. We would live as it once was, live how we so deserve. United by love, by strength of those blood-written historical borders, by the spirit of brave African soldiers who unjustly lie in your unmarked graves. If I had magic, I would command necromancy and raise the dead by sheer will. Or life was black before it was hacked. Askari, for you are victorious over both man and death. In your nature, with your faith, we strive to turn the pages of your history. We remember, we shall never forget you, your heroism, your service, even in death. Your legacy shall be in our souls, on our scrolls. Your history shall be written upon the sands of time. You shall forever live in the murals of our walls, as we raise you in our hearts, as you raise even in death. Askari. Yeah.
Nice.
Very emotional. Yeah.
And like you said, it's based on the life story of a South African soldier in World
Yes.
War I in Europe.
Yes, he's South African, fought in this First World War. I don't want to quote this because I don't have the diary and I haven't read it in a few years, but he was captured, I think, by Italians, and the description that I gave in this poem I took from, these are his words. The honeyless tropes, that's how they were tortured, prisoners of war, and they were tortured for months and months and months, and yeah, he survived, went back to his families, but so many other African soldiers did not. There were no commemorations of their death. Nobody, their families were not given any information on where, what happened. So a lot of families were left without their brothers, their fathers, their sons. Yeah. Yes.
Wow. So I was thinking if I should do something to follow up on that.
Okay.
I do have a perfect poem for that.
Okay.
It's called A Fanfare for the Colonized.
Oh, I like this one.
But I will not perform
I
it.
have this in my favorites.
Yeah, I will not perform it though.
Why?
Because I've performed that way too often, and if you want to see it, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere on YouTube where I have
Actually, it's
performed
on
numerous
Poetry
times.
Lab last year.
See?
Yes.
Yeah.
Check out my page. The poem is on my page. Poetry Lab, Amora Bosco, Facebook. It's on there. True.
Yeah. So I figured, because if we go down that road, it will be on like history and colonialism and racism and
Yes.
all of that. And I know from the both of us, we can fill the entire time.
Oh yeah.
We can
Oh yeah.
easily do that.
Yes.
But I still like to break it up for some reason.
That's very nice, actually.
I don't know.
Once
why.
again, please, if you're online, share the event, like our page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Everything goes under XpokenTv, spoken with an X. And yes, what do you have for us?
So this one here is, what is it called? Grade 6 sex education.
Huh.
Very different topic.
Yes.
Another piece of the Corona poetry series. So here's how that little story goes. Sex education, where I grew up, started in grade 6. Now, that said, I know it's not a brilliant example, but it's just good enough to get your attention. So, my good friend Björn was sitting in the last row, giggling. I believe he was completely overwhelmed by his imagination running wild, triggered by exciting graphic depictions of human genitals. Understand, this day's topic was the function of the uterus, its position inside of the female body, and whatever happens to it during sex. Now, the lesson of the letter here was simple. The penis penetrates the vagina, but only to a point, because it cannot physically penetrate the uterus. Do you agree? Yes. My friend Björn was fidgeting, reaching over to his mate to point out the page in the book where they actually showed real boobs. I mean, like real boobs. Man, all naked in a school book. Believe me, Björn pounding his fingers on the page. Right here. The teacher, whose name I have forgotten, nice lady though, had about enough of it. Doing that thing that all teachers do when they spot a pupil losing attention, they call them out. Björn, are you listening? Björn, when the penis enters the vagina, where can the penis not go? 11 years old, red face, caught off guard, index finger still on a picture of a woman's breasts. Björn calculated in split seconds, realized that he will have to take a wild guess, took a breath, and took 3 seconds to visualize the inside of the delicate system of the female reproductive organs as they are commonly depicted in educational books, and says, when the penis enters the vagina, it cannot come back out of the butt. Now, decades later, as I recall the story, I'm thinking, my man Björn, you might have been onto something there. As any two systems designed to have utterly different functions will not be permeable for easy transition. A capitalist system designed to achieve maximum profit, swallowing all resources available until they are no more, until the planet and all its inhabitants are bled dry, will not magically cross over into a system of ecological sustainability. A system meant to milk the workforce as they are sagging tits or burnout patients will not cross over into a spiritual awakening, the age of Aquarius, meaningful social security or respect or dignity. A system designed for the political, economical, and social benefit of people who only set apart by arbitrary and perceived color of their skin will not and cannot cross over to the concept of the modern multi-ethnical global society that we strive to become and try to buy into. I'm saying, whatever you try to achieve, however hard you're trying to penetrate this thing right there, you can't come back out of the butt. I guess that's something to think about.
I need a drink again.
Sorry, that was one to break the flow of our very, very conscious conversations about race and society and what we have.
Yeah, not sure I agree. I don't have comments. I have a counter.
Thank you. It needs a counter.
It does. Okay. Not sure it's quite a counter, but let's see. This is called Her Stories. Trigger warning. She is in the corner again. Her strength she tries to regain by creating a system to handle. No, by creating a system to maintain her pain. She is in the corner again. Wishing and praying that for once magic would be real and the walls on each side would come together and protect her, shield her, guard her from the abused life she knows as her reality, her only reality. That the tears constantly running down her cheeks, heavier than winter rains, would transform into stars and shine a different light on her. For she has always been secured, but never safe. Scratch that. She has never been safe. She is in the corner again. Misfortune, her second name. She was never really a girl. She was never really a girl. Introduced into womanhood too soon. Long ago did she stop being a child, defined by the exoticness of her race, her humanity subjective to the melanin on her skin. She is in the corner again. She knows nothing of the best of days, molested, defiled, attacked, displaced, injured, hurt, maltreated, misused, time and time, over and over again, violated, raped, abused, her best friend. She is in the corner again. Her body a playground, a marked territory, her stepfathers, mother's boyfriends, cousin, her best uncles, close male family friends, the masters of her tender, delicate features and curves. She is in the corner again. As her trigger warning, please stop, please don't, please no more, I beg you, have mercy, please, no. Fall on deaf ears of men too eager for forbidden pleasures. She is in the corner, her screams but gentle whispers, her cries but unsung psalms. She, nothing but a warm body, an instrument for sex, for pleasure. Her mother never called her beautiful. Instead, named her different. A lesser word for worthless. She, to be given as due, priceless. She, that never broken silence, is in the corner again, her soul lifeless, kept on her back and taught never to stand, kept on her back to watch strange men on top of her with a license for rape, abuse and girl child defilement permits. She is in the corner again, wishing and praying that she would for once know something of the best of days. She is in the corner again. I am in the corner again. I'm in the corner again. I dare tell her story so that mothers like hers and daughters like her have a voice, so that girls in her can embrace cracked beginnings and turn them into perfect endings. I dare tell her stories. I dare to tell her queries so that history will tell of her glorious stories. She shouldn't be in the corner again. Yeah, that you find beyond.
You have a way to raise the bar and like increase the gravity in the room to a point where I'm like, why even start with funny stuff? Goodness. All right.
Just a moment. If you're tuned in, please share this event, like our pages, and subscribe to our YouTube channels. If you're a poet out there who would like to do a matchup, please, you can also recommend a poet that you want to be matched up with. It can be anyone. We will try to contact them and make that happen for you. If you're a poet who just wants to be featured, we can also find you the matchup partner. The next matchup event will be in 3 weeks' time. Please stay tuned.
Thank you very much. How many poems did we do?
We
three
did
each?
4.
4 each?
3 each?
I
How
think-
many poems have we done? The
I
timekeeper
think
doesn't
that-
remember.
yeah,
Okay,
timekeeper.
how much time do we have? We were supposed to go for 1 hour and a half?
Yeah, still got about 20 minutes from.
Okay, that's good time. Also, if you'd like us to stay longer, please tell us. If you would like to vote on your favorite pieces, you can do that on the chat. Since we're live, you can do that on the chat below. Just tell us which was your favorite piece and why it spoke to you. And yes.
All right.
Yes.
How can I follow up on that? That's difficult. Especially from a male perspective.
Yes.
Especially from a male perspective, it is difficult. And I think that is something to be worked on. Especially from us male poets.
Very much, yes.
I feel like what I currently miss in the discussions that we have like nowadays. I mean, not here, but like whatever is generally online on social media and on the whatever is happening to social justice and whatnot, is more like of the question like what is the sort of like the new norm for masculinity. Because what we know and what we have been told so far is how not to be.
Yes.
And that in detail over the last, I want to say like 30, 40 years, we by now have a list. We as men have a list of like, okay, you can't be like this. This you really shouldn't do because that's really messed up. Shouldn't do like this, shouldn't go like this. But the thing is, what is missing is sort of like a guideline of like what are the two values that we as men need in society in order to function as our like in roles in society. When I was thinking about that, I came across this one poem. No, I didn't come across there when I was thinking about it. No, because that Harmony Holiday poem was called Kipling-esque. Kipling-esque. Now, Kipling, if you know Rudyard Kipling, was a poet a long time ago. He's the only white poet I have in here. And I figured, oh yeah, that guy wrote that one poem one day. It's called If, and it's really about sort of like values of masculinity, and it's sort of like used in those circles to come up with something that is sort of like a progressive, not really progressive because we're old, but like a positive image of masculine values to work with.
Okay.
Sort of like using guidelines.
Now I'm on the edge of my chair because I'm not sure. Okay, just do the piece and let's see.
Ah, all right.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, well, now.
No, I didn't say anything. Did you guys hear me say anything?
Yeah, I did. So, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tied by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. That is If by Rudyard Kipling.
Wasn't.
What does she have to say about it? Her criticizing looks.
No, actually, I thought I would have so many criticism to say, but I don't actually. It makes sense.
Interesting. Interesting.
Okay, now, masculinity. You went there.
Hold on 1 second, I need to blow my nose.
Okay.
Off camera.
Okay. So if you are tuned in, please follow our channels, subscribe to our YouTube channel. All this will also be available on our YouTube channel to review. Our channels go under XpokenTv, that is spoken with an X. And yes, please share, follow, comment. If you're a poet and would like to get featured on this channel, please write us an email. Our email is currently XpokenTv@gmail.com. And masculinity.
And if you have questions,
if you have questions for us, yes. But we will do that. You can stream your questions and our timekeeper will read some of them in the last 5 minutes of a 1 hour 30 minutes.
And the question also continues offline.
And
Yeah,
the
sure.
questions continue offline, obviously. And also, please tell us what was your favorite piece, why it was your favorite piece, and yes, masculinity.
And what poem you think is the best poem?
Oh, we're going there.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Oh goodness. So our timekeeper said the audience can decide which poem was the best. Now, I don't think there's a metronome to measure.
But they could tell us about what particular thing they find, what's interesting about this poem, and what makes it, just a discussion. Let's have a discussion about the whole.
Yes.
I like
Yes.
that. I like that.
Okay, and masculinity. I'm gonna change that because visibly,
Yeah, I got that.
yes, you got that. I'm glad I don't have to explain that. Okay, so I'm gonna move from the last topic by asking a question. Is there such a thing as home when your house is black woman? I have loved you since I can't remember when. I'm gonna love you until I can't forget how. Life isn't fair. You are going to experience pain. In case I never get to hold you, to quiet your fears, or get a chance to tell you all about Uhuru, about Ubuntu, about love, life, womanhood, and of that girl child dying on the knife of extinct traditions. In case I never get to do this, I leave you this letter. Dear daughter, let the woman you wear be too much black woman. Let her be too sexy, extra crispy, attached too sharp. Do not let the world silence you. Let the woman you wear be too much woman. Let her be hazardous, spiked, bold. Do not let masculinity dim your shine. Let the woman you wear be too much woman. Allow her to be risky, to be feisty, and at times to attach to bitchy. Allow her to be risky, to be feisty, and at times attached to bitchy. Let the woman you wear be as loud as thunder. Allow her to be a lover, a fighter, and let her hoe with no bounds. Do not let the norms put you in the corner. Let the woman you wear be too much woman. Let her be a handful, orgastic. Do not allow sexuality to taint your truth. Let the woman you wear be too much black woman. Let the woman you wear be too much black woman. Let her wrap freedom around her fingers and wrists. Do not allow those around you to diminish. Let the woman you wear be too much woman. Be aggressive in the claim of your spaces, in the fight for your rights. Allow her to be a masculine energy with a feminine force, daughter. Let the woman you wear be too much woman. Let her be as hot as the sun. Do not let the system hide or shame or shut you up. Be who you are. Dear daughter, let the woman you wear be too much woman. Is there such thing as home when your house is black woman? I was taught to take what's given, to swallow my words and not ask questions, to be persuasively relevant yet remain vainly hollow. I was taught to shut up, to shut my mouth and stick to my role, to focus on looks and stay sufficiently beautiful but never look behind the curtain of lies, to never let my personality blossom, to never speak out of terms, to lay still and allow the world walk over me as it walked over my mother, her sisters and their mothers before them, to be ladylike, to always be silent and follow where a man led, to act with grace and always show strength. To only shed tears in the uneven shallow graves of my daughters fall into at tender ages. I was taught, but thank God I didn't learn. This letter is to my daughter. This is for my boss ladies, for my bad-ass babies. This is for the Miss Independent who don't just ask but do it ladies. The I know my worth ladies. Let the woman you wear be too much black woman. Dear daughter, the black woman your mother wears is always, always too much woman.
Oh, Miss Amora. I salute you.
Thank you. Masculinity. Sorry.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
I heard that one before. Did you write that before your daughter was born?
No, no. This was after. However, I know where you got there because I did do a project called Things I Want My Daughter to Know with a very, very talented Miss Koepsell, a South African poet based in Berlin. And this was long before I had a daughter. And this are different poems. This I wrote after.
Okay.
Yes.
And it is dedicated to you?
It is dedicated to my daughter.
Oh,
It is, however, a follow-up poem to the letter I wrote her before I knew I would ever have a daughter. Yes.
That's sweet.
And that was my fourth poem, by the way. It's calculated in my head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you hear the phone buzzing?
Yes, I am going to check that, I promise. Sorry.
Now you have to understand, I'm
Yes.
just leaning forward a little bit. So before we started, talk a little bit, Miss Amora here told me that we should put our phones on plane mode.
It was on plane mode.
It would buzz.
It did buzz. Apparently, alarms don't stop because of flight mode, but yes, my apologies about that. So yes, I'm thinking you go next.
All right, then this is my fifth and officially or unofficially my last poem.
Unofficially.
All right.
Yes.
That is not a follow-up, but it's a nice one anyway.
Okay.
It's called Kitchen Talk.
I like this one.
They say Africa is a country. If you would erase the borders, once drawn by mustachio-wearing white man. They say, wow, Africa is a country if you would prepare your local dish for your German friends. If you stop improvising on ingredients. If the only suitable substitute for your fufu, your ugali, your millipap, your porsche is a regular German mashed potatoes. They say Africa is a country if you don't think too hard. They say if you don't think too hard, you know the answers, they will come. They say, listen to your elders, for they are the keepers of tradition, the torch bearers. They have been around long enough. They will tell you where to get off. They say, listen to the youth, the torch bearers, for the youth is the future. They say, listen to your pastor. They say, Christianity is the only true religion. They say, listen to your imam. They say, Islam is the only true religion. They say, the dollar is the only true currency. They say, M-Pesa is the people's money. They say, the only true tool for decolonization is the critical analysis of the oppressor's mind. They say the only true tool for decolonization is the AK-47, the click-click, the bomb-bomb. They say, darling, your mashed potatoes are delicious tonight. It tastes just like home. They say, if you just stuff yourself hard enough, all the simple answers, they will come. They say, Africa is a country. When the only suitable substitute for your black label, your Windhoek your Tusker malt, your Guinness is the Schöfferhofer Hefeweizen, you know, the one in the Big Mac. And if you hit that sucker hard enough, the simple answers, they will come. They say, old man Bob must go. They say, this one went high. They say Ramaphosa must go. They say Biya must go. They say Buhari must go. They say, thank God Gaddafi is gone. Thank God they bombed his ass back to hell. They say, Baba, you're drunk. You need Jesus. They say, eat your mashed potatoes. Drink your Hefeweizen. Think all your simple thoughts. Give us all the simple answers. Because if you only hit that stuff hard enough, all the simple truths, they will spill. Maybe Africa is a country. If you'd erase the borders drawn by mashed potato faces, maybe Africa is a country, maybe M-Pesa is the future, maybe the church is the main pillar of society, but maybe there are no simple truths to complex questions. Maybe all that beer does is make you fat and stupid. Maybe the big questions cannot be solved at the kitchen table. But then again, maybe Africa is a country. If you just grab your plates and hold on to your foamy beverages, and we all just try a little bit harder. Maybe Africa is a country if we were to stop thinking in those dimensions and realize that the true diversity of peoples, their beliefs, their convictions, their single and collective intertwined histories are the only true defining common denominator. Maybe once we have emptied our plates, maybe then Africa is. Thank you very much.
Okay, have a perfect counter. I'm glad I got this point. Now this is by the legendary Muta Baruka.
Muta Baruka.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Now I've been watching this poem. I think it's okay. I'm not gonna say that what I wanted to say, but I've been watching it half my life. I've been reading and listening to Muta half my life. He is amazing. And yes.
Well, why did you come? Why did you have to choose this?
Oh, I chose the reason I chose this is I hadn't gone back to this poem for a very long time, but while preparing for this event with my partner in this project, we were playing poem videos on YouTube, and he said, "Okay, I have to."
You say porn videos on YouTube?
Poem.
Oh, okay.
Poetry.
There's a different YouTube for it. Sorry.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. Poetry.
That thing with the words and the stuff.
Yes. The power in words. Like that's our slogan.
Yeah.
Yes.
The rhymes and like yeah.
Okay, way to kick me off my game though. So yeah, we were watching spoken word poetry videos on YouTube, and my partner in this project, who is also a poet and writer, said to me, "I must play you one of my favorite poems." And I was intrigued, obviously. And when he played this poem, and I was like, "Oh my God, yes, this is the one." Yes, that reaction. And so I said I have to feature this in the matchup.
Let's hear it.
Okay. This is this poem. This poem shall speak of wretched seas that washed ships to these shores, of mothers crying for their young swallowed up by the sea. This poem shall say nothing new. This poem shall speak of time unlimited, time undefined. This poem shall call names like Lumumba, Kenyatta, Nkrumah, Hannibal, Anketon, Malcolm, Garvey, Haile Selassie. This poem is vexed about apartheid, racism, fascism, the Ku Klux Klan riot in Brixton, Atlanta, Jim Jones. This poem is a revolting against the first world, the second world, the third world division, man-made decision. This poem is like the rest. This poem will not be amongst great literary works, will not be recited by poetry enthusiasts, will not be quoted by politicians nor men of religion. This poem is knives, guns, bomb blazing for freedom. This poem is a drum. Ashanti, Mau Mau, Igbo, Yoruba, Nyambingi warriors, Uhuru, Uhuru, Uhuru Namibia, Uhuru Soweto, Uhuru Africa. This poem will not change things. This poem needs to be changed. This poem is the rebirth of a people, a rising, awakening, understanding. This poem is speaking, have spoken. This poem shall continue even when poets have stopped writing. This poem will survive you, me. It shall linger in history, in your mind, in time, forever. This poem is time, only time will tell. This poem is still not written. This poem has no poet. This poem is just a part of the history. His story, her story, our story, the history still untold. This poem is now ringing, talking, irritating, making you want to stop it. But this poem will not stop. This poem is long, it cannot be short. This poem cannot be tamed, cannot be blamed. This poem is still not told about this poem. This poem is old, new. This poem was copied from the Bible, your prayer book, Playboy magazine, the New York Times, Reader's Digest, the CIA files, the KGB files. This poem is no secret. This poem shall be called boring, stupid, senseless. This poem is watching you trying to make sense of this poem. This poem is messing up your brains, making you want to stop listening to this poem. But this poem shall not stop. But you shall not stop listening to this poem. You need to know what will be said next in this poem. This poem shall disappoint you because this poem is to be continued in your mind, in your mind, in your mind, in your mind.
We end here. So, say your last words and then say your last words and then
Miss Amora, Conquering Lion of Judah. This happens to be like the only poem on Baruka that I know, and it's freaking amazing.
It's
And
freaking
I love that.
amazing. I love it. I'm so glad I'm a poet. I love it. My timekeeper saying we stop here. This was my 5th poem. You still have to read a 5th poem?
No, I started.
You started.
I finished, you finished now, we finished.
But since I'm Amora and I'm spontaneous, I'm going to say we read each one more poem. Why not?
As you are not consulting with your timekeeper.
I am consulting with my timekeeper. He's looking at me and saying...
He's like,
yes.
oh yeah, well since you have said it now, what can I say about it?
it's live, it's loud, it's loud.
Yes.
Live and it's loud, alright.
Yes.
I'll just put this here. No, this is a bad idea. I work in the library, I shouldn't be doing this. Alright, you want another?
Yes, one poem. One more. Last one. And before we read our last poems, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channels. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook under XpokenTv, that is spoken with an X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. This live session will also be available on our YouTube channel to watch over. And yes, XpokenTv, that is spoken with an X. We were glad we were here. More matchups coming up. Tell us who your favorite poet is. They could be anywhere in the world. We will try and make a match-up happen. We are aiming to be global and pair poets from all over the world with one another to have this amazing connection. Wasn't this an amazing dialogue?
That was nice.
It was nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Should I start this time? No, you start because you started.
Okay. So I have one by a beat poet, Ted Jones. That's
yes.
Jones with Joans, and he was a Black American poet, like traveling the world. He lived in Timbuktu, he lived in Paris, he lived in Berlin for quite a while. Through several stages of his life, and he does have some poetry in German. If you look for it, you will find it. But this one is actually in English, but it has a German title. Anyway, so I love Ted Jones because he's just his poetry is inspiring, yet you can't make sense of it. At least from my perspective. But I'm pretty sure there are people who can decipher it. That's great.
Okay.
But it's lovely. I just love it. This is from 1957, and it's called, in the original, it's called Ich bin ein Hubschrauber, Vogelforscher und ein Stöfchen in Berlin. The forest is nude this morning. The goat is finally wearing a mustache, and blues don't get green anymore. The rhinoceros is in the mountains, hiding from their sensual cow that told the clock the time. The tractors are covered with Puerto Rican roaches. Winds come through the latter's hat, which threatens to fall on young weasels. The impossible hour of whalebone and blubber approaches rapidly. I stand before the desert, which is littered with old candy wrappers and cracker jack boxes, and pledge allegiance to the shifting sands where the loins dare tread and the hyena is scarce. I place my ears simultaneously against the ink blotter that has joined the debris. I can hear the oxtails frying in the pan. I can hear the books opening and the beautiful sound of the leopard's cough. Magnifying my situation has been a project for the idol. I believe in no fears. I shall never possess fancy phobias. I came from the tribe of glove makers. We have always been without fear. Our gloves are magic. The scissors know how to be fingered as a glove. We could never fear the desert. My ears are very long.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
Follow
I
up
do.
with something that makes sense.
Actually, that's a very good example. I usually use it when I'm doing creative writing workshops because it's a very good picturesque abstract poem. Yes, it does make sense. Okay, I'm gonna follow up with something that is more tangible, like you like to tell me. Be more tangible. Use more tangible nouns.
Tangible nouns.
Yes. Okay. So now this poem is very intimate to me. It's a poem that I wrote highlighting my mother in my eyes. Yeah. I call it My Mother, the Earthbender. Now, if you're into anime, you will get why the Earthbender. And there's an animation series called Avatar, and people have different powers. You can either move the ground, move fire, move metal, and I feel that in my eyes, my mother can literally move the earth. Hence, my mother, the Earthbender. This is a dedication to my mother, who I hope is watching. Hello, Mom. I worry about her, she who is both queen and warrior. At times when she worries about me, I worry about her strength, held 50 years strength, since before my very first breath strength. I worry about her, about the burdens on her back, the children on her arms, the worry in her heart, the bruises on her legs, with soil under her fingernails. I worry about how on and on and on she toils. I worry that she must play goddess, king, lord, master, mistress, lover, mother. I worry how she embraces it all to fit me in my shoes and school books in my bag. I worry how she provides butter and bread and threads for my dress from wages earned in tea plantations and coffee fields. I worry how she in every package fits. I worry how quick she is to restore my broken pieces. I worry for who mends hers. I worry about her soul burdened with tears and blood from when I had my fragility out of borders. I worry about her, of how far she has walked barefooted, cracks on her hands, ass on her back. Still she bears to put a teddy bear in my bag before I go to school, so when I am not alone, I can no longer see her face. How I worry about her. Her strength that carries nations upon nations on waged wars. All she does for me up to this point in time, she cuddles us all in her chest, peacefully laying our heads to rest. Still she finds the strength to smile and carry on day after day. I worry and I worry and I worry as she reminds me I am part her still. I worry that nobody worries about her. Yet still able to read bedtime stories, helping me fall asleep. Good night, my child, your love. So smile, she says, and she smiles back, and I worry. For she is both home and nation. She is both fighter and listener, comforter of my needs. I worry. Oh, how I worry. I worry as she teaches me to be as nurturing as she. I worry that I am not worthy to carry forward her footprints, prints so deep, for she does for each nation that calls her mother all she does for me. And I worry for who worries about her.
That was my zone.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This was the first ever XpokenTv hosted match up. The next matchup will be hosted in 3 weeks' time. We will announce on our channel the featured poets or the matched poets, And please tune in. Thank you so much for being here, Philip, our timekeeper. Thank you so much for being here.
Please don't forget to follow XpokenTv.
Yes, please don't forget to follow XpokenTv on Instagram, on Facebook, follow our YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Twitter.
On Twitter as well, XpokenTv, and that is spoken with an X. Yes, thank you very much, and
Thank you very much for inviting me.
yes,
Bye-bye.
good night.